The purpose of today's video is to take the place of the lecture that I would have given in class today. I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the origins and the structures of congressional districts. This video will be broken up into 3 segments and will allow you to watch it over again to make sure that you have a good understanding of this concept. Yesterday we talked about that there are 435 members in the House of Representatives. This map shows the 435 congressional districts which those members represent. And the question for today is, how did these congressional districts get their shape? Because if you look at them, they're kind of weird looking and they're not very even lines or squares. So we'll take a look at that today and see how that actually comes about. Every 10 years after the census, the 435 seats in the House of Representatives are reallocated and redistributed among the states in proportion to their population in a process called reapportionment. States that have gained population since the last census may acquire additional seats, like what happened in these dark blue states. For example, Texas gained 4 seats and Florida gained 2. While states that have lost population may lose seats. In Michigan, we lost 1 seat after the 2010 census. Each state legislature is responsible for the drawing of congressional districts within its own state. Congressional districts, though, can sometimes take on the odd shapes. As I have here, I have Maryland's 3rd district, known as the Praying Mantis, and also my own home district, Michigan's 9th congressional district. These odd-shaped districts, called gerrymandered districts, are called gerrymandered districts because they have been drawn to the advantage of the political party that controls the state legislature. But where does the name gerrymandering come from? Well, actually, the practice of partisan boundary manipulation dates back to our country's earliest history. The name is derived from Elbridge Gerry, a signer of the Declaration of Independence and vice president under James Madison. While serving as governor of Massachusetts in 1811, Elbridge Gerry oversaw the redistricting of the Commonwealth to favor the Jeffersonian Republicans. The reformulation of the Essex district was so egregious that it was said to resemble a salamander with a long, thin trunk and protrusions at the end. In fact, when one person saw it, they said, "That's not a salamander, it's a gerrymander." Okay, now back to the real stuff. The goal of gerrymandered districts is to create as many safe districts as possible that will almost certainly be won by the party in control of drawing the lines. Gerrymandered districts take on 2 forms. The first form is packing, or the concentrating of the opposition voters into as one or as few districts as possible, thus leaving the other districts comfortably safe for the party in power. The other option is cracking, the spreading of the opposition as thinly as possible among several districts, limiting their ability to win anywhere in the region. Now, if you look at my example here, Congressional District number 6 would be an example of a packed district because all the Democrats are packed into one district, where districts 1 through 5 would be kind of considered cracked because the Democrats are spread out as evenly as possible. There are certain limits, though, on state legislatures when they are gerrymandering or drawing these congressional districts to a political advantage. And I wanted to look at one particular Supreme Court case that dealt with this, the Westbury versus Sanders case of 1963. James P. Westbury, Jr. filed a lawsuit against the governor of Georgia, Carl E. Sanders, protesting the state's apportionment scheme. The 5th Congressional District, of which Westbury was a member, had a population 2 to 3 times larger than some of the other districts in his state. Westbury claimed that this system diluted his right to vote compared to other Georgia residents. So the question before the court was, did Georgia's congressional districts violate the 14th Amendment or deprive citizens of the full benefit of the right to vote? The court held that Georgia's apportionment scheme grossly discriminated against voters in the 5th Congressional District because a single congressman had to represent 2 to 3 times as many people as were represented by congressmen in other districts. The Georgia statute contracted the value of some voters and expanded the value of others. The court recognized that no right is more precious than that of having a voice in elections and held that to say that a vote is worth more in one district than in another would not only run counter to our fundamentals ideas of democratic government, it would cast aside the principle of a House of Representatives elected by the people. One of the main frames, or the best way to remember this idea of Westbury versus Sanders, is that it established this idea of one person, one vote.